our revered Swamijis, brothers and sisters, and my dear brothers and sisters, the lovers of Renascence Universal, mentors of Renascence Universal from different parts of the country. It is, I do not know because I am weighed down by emotions. When we were conducting an Hustle Meet on a topic, on a theme, which the world across would be sensitized about, who is Anandmurtiji and what are his contributions? Is it just a guru, a spiritual guru, a social scientist, a literary of excellence? What was he? What was the mission of life? Mission of his coming and gracing the planet with his holy descent. Friends, those of you who have a smattering or a little knowledge about Sri Anandmurtiji, know it for certain. Most of you are aware because we are holding Renascence Universal meets at regular intervals for the last 10 years in this hotel. Now what for? What was his chief mission, focal concern? This word is, I should say, I am not eulogizing, I am simply sharing my deepest feelings, my careful conviction about that. There is such a descent on this planet till today is one of its kind. Because, as I was already said by our advisor, he epitomizes not only knowledge about everything about everything, all aspects of human pursuits, but he had a deepest compassion, empathy, not only for fellow men, humanity at large, but also for plants and animals. And a weak man, when I think of him, my heart, my word out by emotions, not devotion may not be, but definitely by emotions. The way he lived and left the planet. So we find a multifaceted personality in him with the deepest concern, compassion and empathy, not only for suffering humanity, but the domain of flora and fauna who remain very explicitly ignored by human beings who claim to be most evolved, that exploited by human beings because of their selfish concerns. There was a time when man was the worshipper of nature. Our ancestors 6,000-7,000 years back were roaming about in the forest in quest for food and shelter. That's history. Few thousand years back, our ancestors were food gatherers wandering in the forest. The food gatherers, in course of time, they became food producers in the river banks, great civilization. This history. And in course of time, because of man's inquisitiveness to ask why, what and hows about nature, about himself, science and technology, born philosophy, science and technology, and spiritual hearts were opened up. So there has been a non-stop movement ahead. And a time came when man thought that I conquer nature, I am the conqueror of nature. So there is a transition from worship of nature to conquering nature, subjugating nature, exploiting nature, which continues. And in course of time, man thought that since I am the most evolved creature, everything is for me, the flora, fauna, the rivers, mountains, everything, they owe their existence to their instrumental value for human well-being. That is gross error. Pierre Sarkar says the gross folly. And his words proved prophetic. Because man being the most evolved creature, has the onerous responsibility of taking care of those who are less evolved. Friends. Just as in a family, an able-bodied member has its moral obligation to take care of the children, the ailing parents, the old people. So on account of being more privileged, on account of being more capacity, man owes the responsibility of taking the entire creation, the non-humans, he should play the role of a mentor, a steward, a guide, a protector, not a destroyer. This is his demands. He said, look, you are wasting water. We call it wasting water. A time will come when the world will face water crisis. It is happening now. What is for long back? A time will come when man, because of his gross follies, will create a planet which is not supportive of human life, nor the life of the non-humans. Global warming, acid rain, melting of the polar ice, rise of the sea level. These are the things which people foresee. I am not going to take longer time. I will take another 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So he envisioned, when he was sleeping on, a 6-year-old boy, indifferent to studies, used to lie down on a bed in Bamanpada. Look vacant at the sky, the sister would say, what are you doing? Your classmates are studying. You don't have interest in studying. What are you doing? Looking at the sky. He said, I'm thinking of a world 10 million millennia ahead. Absurd. Because something very sounded absurd for them. And he wrote his name in 7 languages. He had not even trained, he was illiterate. He even did not know the alphabets when he was hardly 3-4 years old. So what did he visualize? What did he dreamt of? He dreamt of the world without boundaries. Friends, you know that our primitive people had no boundaries. Anybody could go to any part of the world. But there were natural boundaries like mountains, vast expanse of sea, ferocious animals, difficult to scale on foot in one mountain. People did not know who are living in the other part of the mountain. There were natural boundaries. But now today, we have artificial boundaries. Man in 21st century, there is a nationalism, there are country boundaries, state boundaries, regional boundaries, and the disputes stemming from artificial divisions. He visualized, he envisioned a world without boundaries and a society without distinction of caste, color, creed. We didn't know in school days. He was very much averse, allergic to distinction, exploitation, discrimination on the basis of caste. He was critical of distinction on the basis of the color of the skin, the Negroes, the black colored people, and the thought, he said, is the greatest dogma that humanity has to fight against. How can a black man be inferior to a white man because of difference in the color of the skin? He said it is the same motivation, same emotions which flows in the mind of a Negro, also there in the white man. Though we appear to be different from the point of view, the color of the skin, the religion we profess, the social customs that we are accustomed to, deep within we are all human beings, friends. So he declared human society is one and indivisible. And he spelled out in details, he dwelt at length on how human beings are created distinct. There is no diagnostic equipment. Like the PET scan, CT scan, all 120 kinds of biopsy and blood tests. You can never know from their test result whether which community belongs, whether Christian or Muslim or Hindu, which is a Pan or a Brahman, untouchable or otherwise the distinctions which are man-made. And he said, the intelligence of the world, RU is basically a forum for the intelligence, the thinkers, the intellectuals from cross-section society. They should first of all sensitize themselves about the evils that society is subject to, and the kind of suffering, the quantum, the magnitude of suffering that humanity has endured. No, there is a practice song. In the one fine morning, Jagadanji was reading the practice to me. In 70s, when we were not even, we did not know who is Anandmurtiji. Listen. हमें डाक दिए जाए आलोक के पथ भरे जारा देते चाहे तारे जने लिखते चाहे. I want to know who are those who want to follow the path of light. I want to know who are they. Manu soechana Vediclesta, Manu soechana Sok Santa. I want to put a stop, I want to know who are those who want to putting balm on those who have endured suffering and tribulation. So this is, whatever you said, you gave 5,018 songs. The record, you see, record composition in short span of 5 years, 8 months, 20 days. He not only gave the music, not only gave the songs, lyric, he gave the tune. And interestingly, he gave tune before giving the lyric. Normally what happens, poets of celebrity, they give a song, then melody is given, but here is a thinker, here is a philosopher, here is a seer, who gave melody first, according to the demand, according to nature, the seasons, festivals, occasions, then gave song. The entire Prabhat Sangeet, corpus of Prabhat Sangeet is nothing but a lyrical exposition of Anandmurti philosophy. Those who are not conversant in the Anandmurti philosophy, go to Prabhat Sangeet try to understand. There are Kaudi songs, there are spiritual songs, there are songs explaining the relationship between Guru and everything, the entire gamut of human life, all the nuances are addressed and depicted in Prabhat Sangeet. So he imagined a world without boundaries and a society without any kind of distinction, and a social order without any dogma. One of the slogans of Renaissance, dogma, no more, moralists of the world in mind. He said, man lives in 3 planes, physical, psychic and spiritual. In a physical plane, there has to be a supportive socio-economic order, because man, just as Gandhi said also, that man cannot meditate in the empty stomach. The minimal necessities should be provided to every individual, and Sarkar declares that by virtue of being born into a soil, everyone has right to have access to 5 fundamentals: food, clothing, shelter, education, medical protection, medicine. Whether I am a dollar or intelligent, whether I am able-bodied or handicapped, by virtue of being born into soil, I have share in the cosmic patrimony. God is our father, Parama Prakriti is our mother, so we have a legitimate share, a fair share in the bounty of nature. This is the basic keynote of the crowd, which came as an alternative to capitalism and communism. Friends, down the centuries, there are 2 paradigms, 2 theoretical models which are ruling the roost. That is, one side capitalism, the other side communism. People could not think that there is an alternative. Sarkar points out that is why he incurred the wrath of the establishment, the governments across the world, not only in India. He said, if something is wrong in the principle, it has to be wrong in details. Capitalism and communism, they stand on a very shaky ground because the fundamentals are grossly misleading. He said, a capitalism thrives on the instinct to accumulate. The more you accumulate, the better I am, the happier I am. So the instinct to accumulate, pipilika, we call it pipilika, thus an ant goes on accumulating even though it has hoarded beyond necessity. This capitalism is based on the psychology of accumulation. Now this accumulation leads to exploitation. That leads to polarization of the haves and have-nots, against which Marx came and raised his point. So capitalism is exploitative. The minority live because of majority exploiting the majority. And communism, it stands on a very, I should say, a very, very shaky foundation and wrong assumptions that matter is the ultimately real and economic conditions and factors are the sole determinant social change. Marxism proved its inadequacy across the world because bread is a necessity and prime necessity. Sarkar says that yes, that's a necessity, but not that the only necessity. After your belly is full, the mind has also demand, the desire for expansion, desire for completeness. He said there is no scope for it because once you take economy to the substructure and matter is the ultimate, so the higher expansion is forestalled. It is bound to belie the expectations of people. A time will come when people will outgrow. Even if you give food and shelter to everyone, there may be contradictions in psychic plane after the contradictions in the physical plane. So he gave an alternative, proud, progressive utilization theory which tries to remedy the defects and anomalies, inadequacies of both the paradigms and incorporating the best in them. The way he fought for, the way he argued in favor of increasing the purchasing power of the people, the way he talked about a decentralized economy, the Samaj movement which takes care of regional and development in terms of utilizing natural resources. The slogan is, think globally, act locally. What a wonderful slogan. I am pretty sure that the world will take 100 years or 200 years to understand what he meant. His heart used to bleed for a withering plant. How many sannyas? I have seen one sannyas being sacked because he saw a dried plant in his garden. I was there present on that. I am not going to name the worker, he is no more. But how come you find that it's an ordinary plant? You are very, very annoyed. It has also right to exist, it is a mind. When you are watering the neighboring plant and you are not, because there is a dearth of water, would you not empathize with the, this is what Ananda means. If he donates a plant, if his office donates a plant, you will inquire about the health of the plant. A plant, he was sensitive. He said there is nothing like inanimate. So the proud came as an alternative to capitalism and communism, which envisioned a society, economy without exploitation, a social order without exploitation. A society which is governed by single penal code, world government, Magna Carta, based on social justice, minimum guarantee. These are the fundamentals which should help us to formulate that. A world without boundaries and a world government, a common penal code, gradually the militia will diminish. So this is what he visioned. Not only envisioned, but he also gave a blueprint for a sustainable economy, a stable human society without dogma, without exploitation, without distinction, without discrimination. Yes, it looks very utopian. Not that. He said, you have to work because the journey of 1,000 miles begins in the first stage. So we trained these sannyasis. What are we? We have our families, we have our identities. Look at those monks and nuns who are sitting. They could have been more prosperous had they embraced the household. But they decided for an ideology they left everything. And how much of uncertainty we know workers striving for sustenance. We salute them all who have been carrying the mantle, who have been responsible for perpetuating the legacy of the master. 2-3 minutes, I am prolonging, I know, but I have to take. So, in a physical domain, he gave a blueprint for socio-economic transformation. So that Every man is guaranteed 5 basic things. In psychic plane, he explained what is a dogma, what are the superstitions of dogmas who have been artificially created by vested interests and divided humanity. He said human society is one and indivisible. Work for that. Distinction on the basis of language is so flimsy, so volatile. How can a Bengali, a person speaking Bengali be different from one who is speaking Hindi? Had I been born to a Hindi, a family where Hindi is the mother tongue, I would have been quite fluent in Hindi. How different, how does it differ? I go to a mosque, you go to a temple. Had I been born to a Muslim family, I would go to it. So what is important is not whether to a temple or a mosque. What is important is that you are going for prayer, offering your benediction, offering your heart and mind before God. So in the psychic plane he brought about revolution. The Renaissance used to work in the domain of psyche, informing people, sensitizing people, educating people about the issues and the solutions. In the spiritual plane, so wonderfully. Some scholars like Bhaskar and others who are going from guru to guru, organization to organization for a right path. Friends, there are 2 types of spiritual practice that prevail in the world. One is called sadhana, one is called Dakshinachar sadhana, Brahmachar sadhana. The sadhana which tries to wrest power, snatch powers from nature by self-effort. There is no room for devotion. It is more an activity and effort to acquire power. This is Brahmachar sadhana. Avidya Tantra and many of the practices fall in this category. The other extreme, there is Dakshinachar sadhana, the way of pacification. The Vedic mode of sadhana, all these systems based on that. Now, they want to attain the highest thing. Brahmachari will try to get it by self-effort, struggle against the Ashtapas and Sartaripu, fighting against the forces of nature that stand on the way or serve as the bottlenecks on the path of expansion. On the other hand, there are Dakshinacharis, those who follow the path of absolute devotion. They say that by prayer and eulogy, by pleasing God, satiating God, we get the highest. Sarkar says, both the systems have something good to offer. And both the systems suffer from inherent inadequacy. So, he tried to bring strike a mean between Brahmachar sadhana and Dakshinachar sadhana and developed a Madhyamachar sadhana which incorporates the best in Brahmachar and best in Dakshinachar. Like a Brahmachari, a sadhak has to be proactive. He has to be vigilant so that the lower propensities do not take you for a ride. Greed, for example. Anger, for example. Jealousy, for example. As long as you are confined, as long as you are under the captive of these vrittis, you are a jiva. Paso bardha bhavet jiva, paso mukta bhavet shiva. We have to act at the Brahmachari using all physical and psychic prowess to fight against the lower propensities. But that is not enough because Sarkar says, Anandmurtiji says that human capacities are limited. There are inherent limitations. You have to invoke His grace. So like a Brahmachari, you have to struggle, strive against the forces of nature, not only external forces but internal forces, more so are vrittis, 50 vrittis. That they prescribe the Kundalini sadhana. While you practice it, you do not apply anything external, but your all Kundalini rises up, different vrittis associated with different chakras get controlled, and when Kundalini is Sahasra, all the 50 vrittis with 1000 expressions in 2 directions often. So they get controlled. But like a Dakshinachari also, you have to have a sense of surrender. I was telling my brother, with Raghavan, we have worked hand in hand. I take inspiration from him. That is beautiful painting. I said that the roadside painting is a very good beautiful painting. What is the caption of the painting? What is the painting about? There is a big sea in Silao. And there is a boatman standing with a small boat. The caption is, "Oh God, how vast is your sea? You know how small is my boat? Being self-conscious of inherent limits. Howsoever I may try, there is a point in which I have to invoke the grace of Almighty. Guru Kripa Kevala. So self-effort like a brahmachari, coupled with, backed by the grace of the divine, can help us to expedite our journey to the ultimate goal. Lastly, in the world of philosophy, P.R. Sarkar, and a student of philosophy, I know I have been studying, that he gave a cosmology which he incorporated the best in other cosmology, the matter-centric, spirit-centric cosmology. He said, another 3 sentences going to be last. Don't think that I'll be prolonging. He said everything, the entire universe of entire phenomenal diversity. The universe that we see, the phenomenal universe has its beginning at singular point. And the journey has started and we are going to end at a particular point to destination and stage. They are not different. So we have come from one source and we are heading towards a destination or a terminus. And the third is terminus and destination. So Advaita, Dvaita and Advaita. It is neither Advaita which highlights monism, nor Advaita which highlights, recognizes diversities. He says, from the one the many has come, and many is a different explanations of one. So everything that you see in the universe has the property of one, just as different sweets made up of sugar will taste sweet because the fundamental substance is sweet sugar. Similarly, the fundamental substance is divinity. So everything in a stone has divinity in it, potential content. And in course of the journey, that which is dormant or latent or implicit will become explicit and manifest. One day he was going with Bhavishanandaji, several times I've said, he found a crusher. He was going on a morning walk. He said, Bhavishananda, do you know, when you crush the stone, it also feels the pain. But humanity has to evolve to understand the mind of a stone. What is the fundamentals? What is the tattva? Tattva is this. That whether it is a stone or an animal or a flora or a human beings, all have come from one source. Therefore, everything has that its potentiality. A tree has the potential to grow into a great human being, and we in the past we do not know what we were. So there is always a promise. There is a hope for going ahead and being with that. So it is neither Advaita nor Advaita, but Advaita, in the beginning there is Advaita, non-dualism. In the end there is one, and in between we are many. What is our relationship? We are all co-travelers, friends. Because we have come to one source. The life which throbs in me also throbs in an animal. How can be indifferent to a famished dog whose mouth is salivating with the tears into the eyes? Does you feel like sharing a piece of bread? If you don't have that inner call, compulsion, something wrong with your sadhana. Because he gave us sadhana, he says, sadhana has 4 things, vistara. It expands your mind. It helps the entitative flow to the one which causes vistara rasa. And when your mind expands, you cannot but serve. Service becomes your instinct, your motto, your watchword, and your guiding sentiment. Vistara rasa srata. So sadhana, he said, Nirakat sadhana, sadhana of the formless, helps you to expand your mind. And the more expanded the mind, more expanded the frontiers of empathy. So gradually go on identifying yourself with the other. The so-called other is into enlistment. For a spiritualist, there is no other. Because that's such a mother. For a mother, the child is not the other. The mother feels the pulse of the child because she finds that she is part of me. Some glimpse of empathy. The child has sickness, father may sleep, mother doesn't sleep because she feels that it's an extension of my being. Similarly, friends, when you do sadhana, the small things will not touch you. Just as now the selfishness, narrowness takes possession of you, a person who is discovering sadhana, he cannot but love and serve. That becomes your instinct. Therefore, service becomes your mission of life. That is how he wanted to bring about a renaissance in history of physical, psychic and spiritual sphere. He said the European renaissance was in the physical plane. Science, technology, all that. And the Indian renaissance was in the spiritual plane, Mirabai and other scale. He said we need renaissance in 3 planes. in the physical, psychic and spiritual plane. That is why Renanza in three strata, when you read it, that is the Renanza universal. It is not only Renanza like European Renanza in the physical sphere, nor Renanza in the spiritual sphere in India. You are diverse from physicalities, the compulsions of practical life. He said, we want Renanza in the physical, psychic and spiritual. That is why the Renanza universal movement. Thank you.